Oh, I can't
Dun.
do any more than that. Otherwise, we'd get copyright struck, folks. So, but yeah, I know, Kate. You wanted to finish it off, but yeah, we would have literally got hit with a copyright if we had.
Oh, she.
And yeah, you
really?
can't even
if you just do the
yeah, even if you go a cappella on it, you'd get hit
no
with a copyright.
shit.
Yeah, a friend of mine did. And so, welcome everybody. It's not the Sunday weekly recap. This is a Star Wars celebration where me, Kate, and if you in the chat, if you actually want to come on, we will send out a link and you can come into the stream, talk Star Wars. Now, mind you,
Join the dark side.
We are only talking Legends and EU and whatnot, and games and what such. And we're trying to keep it more positive. I mean, yes, we will possibly discuss some of the Filoni-verse and whatnot, but we are going to try to keep it objective criticism of the Disney stuff, because otherwise it just will devolve into a little bit of or stuff that negativity. And I don't like negativity on Star Wars Day or the day after Star Wars Day. So,
and we don't want to like there are certain groups of people out there who like to label Star Wars fans as toxic.
Yeah.
And we would like to not be toxic or negative.
Yeah,
I like liking Star Wars.
Same here. And I mean, I just did a video today that I basically lambasted a lot of EU people out there who are unfairly criticizing the Acolyte over its use of martial arts. Because, let me ask you something, Kate. Have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic 2?
I have played that. It was really fun.
Did you use the male character?
I did, because I only used male characters up until recently in all my video games for personal reasons.
Yeah. Well,
the personal reasons being that I don't like the sound effects when they fall or jump, or if you're a gamer, you know what I'm talking about. Like all those little like when you're like fighting. I like
the girl voices would be a little bit too silly. Shall we say?
Silly is a good word for it. Yes, silly.
Yeah. Well, if you are the male character, you get the character of Brianna in Coder 2, folks.
Oh.
And she is what's known as an Ichani, and they have martial arts. So yeah, the EU did it first. They did it best. And yet when people are saying, oh, they're doing force foo and all this shit, it's like, shut up. If you're not gonna criticize your own canon for it, don't criticize the Disney stuff simply because it's Disney. I'm sorry, folks. It's about time we accept the fact that Disney owns Star Wars. It may not, or
you
it
can
may
cry
be
about it, but it's
it's
still.
It may be an interpretation and a shallow facsimile of what we know as Star Wars, but it's still their version of Star Wars. Let them have.
I like the way that you put it, though. I like that.
Yeah.
It's their version of Star Wars. It's like Amazon. It's their version of Lord of the Rings.
It's their no. As much as I love Star Wars, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, that is a very
different horse. You think?
You are comparing a Minoc to a dragon.
Okay. All right.
In this case,
I didn't mean to derail.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I just wanted to kind of make a comparison, so I didn't mean to derail. But
I mean,
we disagree.
George Lucas changed the way we looked at movies.
Correct.
Tolkien changed the way we looked at books. Let's just say that.
That's fair. That's fair. I agree with you on that one.
Hey, Tony. You're not late. We haven't even really gotten into the discussion.
We got to the intro.
Yeah, we sort of just started shooting shit. We're just going to be basically shooting the shit here, folks. And something that I'm busting out these fuckers for this thing here, because you know what? These are also going to be brought out on on Tuesday for when I do my Disney discussion and stuff. But when it comes to movies like Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, Episode 4, 5, and 6, it's good to have the visual dictionaries. I don't sadly have the visual dictionaries to Episodes 4, 5, and 6. I would love to get my hands on those. But having the 1, 2, and 3s, these have come in handy, especially when it comes to I will see, or I'll get to the fun question in a second there, Neazo. Trust me. Especially when it comes to knowing your lore. And if episodes 1, 2, and 3 are part of Disney lore, then it pays to be consistent. Because the movies are part of both lores, EU and Disney's interpretation. So here is the question from Neozoic. Hi, Orange and crew, and the fun folks in the chat. Star Wars plot twist, which one was better? Darth Vader revealed to be Luke's father, or in Empire Strikes Back, or the player revealed to be Darth Revan in KOTOR? That's a good question.
That's a great question. Yeah. Sadly, I was a part of the generation that knew Anakin was Darth Vader before I watched all the movies. You know, Star Wars had been so inundated in pop culture by the 90s that it was spoiled to me before. So I long to have that new, like, oh my God, it's his dad moment. I never got that. That was stolen from me. So I'm just going to pick the player reveal to be Darth Revan.
Yeah.
Because I got to experience that versus I didn't get to experience the Darth Vader reveal.
So I'm one of those lucky few that's been able to experience both. And as I said, folks, when I was 2 years old, even at 2 years old, I remember the feelings of watching these 3 movies because we had them all 3 of them on VHS at the same time or in the same tape. And when I got to Empire Strikes Back, when we were watching it and Luke lost his hand, I was scared at the time. I remember being scared because the hero was hurt. And then I understood the word father and dad are the same thing. And when he said, I am your father, I understood it as I am your dad. And it's like, I looked at my dad. I remember looking at my dad like, what is he going to do to me? I was kind of scared of my dad for a little bit.
Are you going to chop off my hand?
Like, are you going to chop off my hand? Because, one time he grabbed my hand. I fucking freaked. I was like 2 or 3 years old at the time when he did it. And it's like, oh, no.
Please no, please no, please no.
He's like, okay, you got a healthy fear. It's like, what the hell is this? It's like, think about it. I just watched Star Wars. But it was a shock. It certainly was a shock. And then when I was playing Knights of the Old Republic, my gosh, man, I remember back in the day, it's like I play these Xbox games. They're incredibly because I was always used to N64 games at the time. But then the Xbox came around and I'm playing this Xbox and it's like a lot more complicated because my brother John had the Xbox and he was a stickler. He was an asshole that didn't want to let you touch his stuff. He was that kind of older brother. Love you, brother. But I finally got to play Knights of the Old Republic, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. This is cool. I started playing it, and it's like, oh, I get to use 2 lightsabers like Darth Maul. That's cool. Or double lightsaber like Darth Maul. Okay, cool. All right, yeah. And then it comes to the freaking reveal, and I'm like, the fuck? I was like that guy that's like, what? What the fuck? It was like that for me, man. It was literally like that for me. I'm like, the fuck? And my dad's like, what are you saying up there? Like, nothing. So yeah, I gotta say, as a kid, when I first witnessed Darth Vader say that to Luke, for a 2-year-old, it's a shock. it is a very big shock because you're going to believe it. You're going to believe it. And so, yeah, I got to say that Empire Strikes Back was the bigger hit for me, plot twist wise. But Darth Revan's is a very close second.
It was a good. That was a great.
Yeah.
It was because it's kind of like I don't know if you've ever played Amnesia, where
No.
you play and then you're getting further into the game and you kind of reveal the mystery and you're like, oh my god, am I the baddie? And that's kind of the same. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I like that whole. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not trying to defeat the enemy. I am the enemy. You know what I mean? Like I love those kinds of storytelling.
Kind of like Call of Duty Black Ops, the first one.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
that was
dude
that's
was
a great
basically
example.
a freaking Manchurian Candidate. But yeah, and when I saw these movies, then I played the games, and then it's like you get to use, or then I played my absolute favorite game, which was Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy.
I never got to play that one.
Oh,
good one. Go back and revisit. Okay, all right.
Definitely go back and revisit. I played Jade Core, or I played all the different.
Oh no. Oh no. It's just me. Oh, he's back. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was about.
You were in the middle of your response, and then I was like, "Oh
I
no!
know.
Oh no! Oh no!"
Let's see if I can get my camera back to. Fuck, are you putting me through? Woof woof. Okay, good. How do I sound?
You sound fine. You sound good.
All right, sound good. Good. Everything good.
You have an internet weirdness too.
No, it's a very
Oh no, he's frozen. He froze. Well, here I am, all alone, talking to you guys about Star Wars. Hello. Star Wars is great. I love watching it. And I'm still waiting for Orange's response because I want to know what he had to say. Yes, Neozoic. He's been carbon frozen. Frozen in carbonite, yes. Oh, and now, does that make me Princess Leia trying to like break him out of Jabba the Hutt's palace? 'Cause that'd be really funny. It's funny that at the beginning, Orange was like, "If you want in, let me know. We will let you in." And then, and then he gets kicked off himself. But keeping it in the Star Wars spirit, just to kind of keep this going and celebrating Star Wars a bit. My first Star Wars movie was Phantom Menace in 1999. I was 5 or 6 years old. And obviously, like I had spoken to you guys before, I was letting you know that I had already, unfortunately, had the whole Anakin being Luke's dad told to me before I saw the movie. So my first movie going experience, I was like, okay, this little kid is going to be Darth Vader. Let's see how it goes. And I remember really enjoying the movie, and I always knew Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader is arguably the greatest movie villain of all time. But I remember being a little kid in my little kid brain going like, I want to see more of Darth Maul because this guy looks awesome. Which, we're sticking to the EU and original trilogy stuff, or not original trilogy, original Star Wars So they have brought in Maul with like the Clone Wars. So people did get their wish, that wish that I had when I was 5 or 6 to see more of Darth Maul. People did get an answer to that. Unfortunately, it wasn't how we wanted it, but we did get it. And hey, look who's back! What's up? I was going off about my first Star Wars experience as a 5 or 6-year-old watching Phantom Menace. Anywho, I knew that lightsaber existed. You know, Star Wars has already obviously made its mark on the world before I came along. But when Darth Maul revealed his double-sided lightsaber, let me tell you, the nerd reaction in the 4 or 5-year-old little body, 5, 6 years old, was amazing. Like the nerd reaction was like euphoric.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your screen is black.
Yeah, that's fucking weird, man. Okay, well, give me 1 second. I'm gonna unplug and replug.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again? Oh, he literally unplugged. Okay, well, and now he's back. Let's go, everybody. That's how I feel like we should do with Star Wars. We should do with Star Wars right now is just unplug it and plug it back in and see if it helps. Sorry.
Okay, good. This works. Okay. Now let's fix the audio.
Well, I can't tell if it's working or if it's not working, but all I can say is I don't know how.
Somebody hates me right now.
It's the YouTube algorithm. Oh my gosh.
No, actually. Oh wow. Okay, so I gotta. Jesus. It's called work, you piece of shit. But anyway, yes, continue going. I actually liked your Darth Maul and whatnot.
Oh, so yeah, Darth Maul. I don't know. Did you find this when you were watching? I know there is an age difference, but when I saw Darth Maul in '99 as a little kid, I was like, I want to see this guy more. And honestly, revisiting, I've seen this meme, and I did notice it every time I watch Phantom Menace now, but Darth Maul didn't know who Anakin was, but he still tried to like punch a kid, and I don't know if he like felt it in the Force or whatever, but he was just a bad dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it used to be back in the day, like the bad guys that we had as kids were bad dudes, and now they try to make them all sympathetic and stuff. And back in my day, they just used to kick kids just because they were bad guys. So like that kind of makes me happy. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like Darth Maul just trying to like hurt Anakin for no reason other than he's a bad guy and he doesn't like kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just fun stuff. We didn't get a lot of like personalization, or like we didn't get to learn a lot about this Phantom Menace, you know. But when we saw him, man, was it fun. Yeah, and that whole like I didn't know it could do that with the double-sided lightsaber, to this day, just amazing. And then playing lightsaber battles with my friends pretending we were Darth Maul. Come on, like who didn't do that?
Yeah, you don't get much better than that.
I know. Yeah, childhood.
When it came
childhood
to me,
sounds like whack with with lightsabers.
When it came to me and Darth.
Oh no! I wanted to hear what he had to say about Darth Maul. Anywho, in the comments, sound off. Darth Maul, what do you like about him? What do you not like about him? What do you want to hear more? Oh, hey, you're back. Darth Maul.
We're gonna have to deal with subpar audio, folks. I am sorry about that. I like Darth Maul. I actually thought he was a good character and whatnot. I wanted to see him more. I did. and I understood that he was in the comics later on. He was actually also cloned. Somebody also cloned used Darth Maul DNA and Star Killer DNA to create that other hybrid guy. So that was also interesting. But when it came to Darth Maul in the movie, I enjoyed seeing it. Oh my god, that he was an interesting character. And to think that the guy who played the Italian gunsmith in John Wick Chapter 2 is the voice of Darth Maul.
Crazy.
So,
right?
Yeah, he's the original voice of Darth Maul.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the actor who played Darth Maul was replaced by the stunt coordinator?
No, Ray Park had a stunt double.
Okay. I remember reading something, and it might have been a different character, but it was like somebody didn't show up for shooting because they didn't want their face covered in paint or something, and so the guy who, did all the stunts took his spot. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Possibly.
All right, I am at least going to try to use my better audio here. Can you hear me correct or better now?
Yeah, it cracked as it came in, but I noticed the difference. Yeah.
Okay, so is it still holding better or is it jumping?
Nope, it's after the initial stutter. You're good.
Okay, so yeah. Orange Hat and Carbon Freeze you. Howdy, Pierce howdy, Geek Archivist Pierce. Good to see you. What are your thoughts on the story, or speaking of Darth Maul, Old Wounds? I don't know the Old Wounds story. I do know Darth Maul's Shadow Hunter and whatnot, but I never heard of the story Old Wounds. So you're gonna have to give me some background on that, Neozalic.
It's technically not canon. I think it was from the early 2000s. I think it came out right around the 2005 premiere of episode 3. But I don't know.
Well, at that point, all I was really exposed to when it came to anything EU was the Clone Wars show from Genndy Tartakovsky. Man, I remember watching that stuff, and it's like, this is the shit, man.
I will say I just looked up Old Wounds, and it's a 13-page non-canonic comic from 2005 featured in Star Wars Visionaries. This is from Wikipedia. It was written and drawn by Aaron McBride and edited by Jonathan W. Rinsler, and is set in 16 BBY. Darth Maul with replacement bionic legs attached to his upper torso seeks out Lars to find and avenge himself upon Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah. That's the comic that I heard about then, I guess. So yeah, his horns were also larger and whatnot, from what I remember.
Yeah, and
essentially they look like they did in the Filoni Wars when they revived him as the Spider Maul.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or Sauvage or whatever, his brother, who had the larger horns too.
Yeah, his horns were not as grown out as Maul's were. Maul had an actual crown of horns, essentially.
Right. I would be okay with like if, well, never mind. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, and EU's touched this. I want more on. Maybe I should just read more comic books, because every time I'm like, oh, I want more on this thing, I mean live action, and then I run into Star Wars fans who are more versed in the EU than I am, and they're like, oh yeah, there's a whole book on that, and I'm like, wait, so you mean to tell me everything I want to see Star Wars do on film, we've already done it in EU books? And they're like, yeah, it's this one. So it's kind of funny, because I don't know, like I said, I'm not as well versed in the EU, but I like that there is something for everybody in the fandom in the EU. You know, like they scratch all the itches that you want as a fan.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about, say, like these books, specifically this one from the Legacy of the Force series, the characters on the front of the books, you can actually do a good job at, for me anyway, I can actually put them in my mind in motion because as I'm reading the books, I'm actually looking at it like a movie.
I do the same thing.
I'm very movie oriented.
Yeah. Do you ever read a book and then you watch like the live action and you're like, that's not what the character looks like in my head?
Yeah. Well, if I read the book first and then I do the live action, I could go back to the book and make comparisons. Yes, because I mean, small segue or small divergence here, folks. Hermione Granger in the books versus Hermione Granger in the movies, up until I think the third year, had very big teeth.
Yeah. She had to grow into her face. Yeah.
Yeah. Where she actually had them magically shrunk when she went to the hospital wing.
Right.
But
the same thing for like, you know, like Lord of the Rings, like Aragorn in my head, like when I read the book, doesn't look anything like the movie. Or Vigo, yeah. Same thing with Frodo. Like Frodo's 50. He doesn't look like a 21-year-old. You know, in my head when I read the books. Like that's just me. So when you said you see things visually when you read, I'm like, yeah, me too. What do your characters look like? Like, are they?
Yep. Now, here's the thing. This from episode 1, folks, from the Visual Dictionary. You get let's see here. This guy, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Let me just read this really quick. A Jedi Knight from a largely unspoiled paradise world of Syria. Ki-Adi-Mundi's dome head holds a complex binary brain recently added to the council. Ki-Adi-Mundi has not yet taken a Padawan learner. So, you know when Anakin in episode 3 asked, how can you be on the council and not be a master? I would have, if I was Yoda and if I was Mace, I would have been like, ask him. Ask Master Mundi. He sat on this council for a while before he was designated a master, before he had earned the rank of master. It is not, or just because you are on this council does not mean you are automatically a master. It just doesn't work that way. I mean,
also,
there was
I think
so
Filoni
much.
undermined that with the Clone Wars when he gave him a Padawan, and then it was Master Kenobi, Master Anakin, Master Skywalker, and it's like, he wasn't a master.
Well, he was only a master at the behest of a Padawan.
Right, but I think that was splitting hairs. Like,
yeah,
for me, that's a little cheap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole there's only 2 rule, right? Like that's a huge rule for the Sith.
The rule of 2, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the Clone Wars, and it's like Sidious is leaving, you know, trails of his apprentices, and it causes a lot of mayhem. And it's like, no, what are you doing? This is why we don't have more than 2, because of all this mayhem. Hello, and that. Oh, sorry, nope. I'm gonna get off on a trail about Clone Wars. I'm so sorry.
But yeah. Also, here's episode 2, The Hand, as well as other things. Skywalker's lightsaber. He constructed his own lightsaber while in a trance-like state, resulting in a design that favors maximum strength and heavy-duty body cylinder, activator, and power indicator. Oh, wait. Hold on a moment. Give me a second. Power shell housing. Let's see here. That's the activator. Not that. That.
And it slides.
Yeah. it was meant to slide. So yeah, then he lost it and had to rebuild another one, which in that one, he does create a button that exists up top. So let me actually get to that. Let's see here.
You know, I like the whole not button, the slidey thing. And even though I don't like the whole like Rey Palpatine storyline, I do really like her lightsaber at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
It's an interesting design. I will give them that.
I like the design. I like the design on that. How it like spins when she turns it on. I was like, ooh. It was like the only part of the movie I was like, okay.
Yeah, she has to turn it to turn it on, or spin it to turn it on. It's an interesting thing. Where the hell is he in this one? I mean, I'm going through all of the others. Oh, yeah, episode 3. Barriss Offee was in episode 3, folks. Kind of interesting that before the episode 3 came around, they actually had her arrested and imprisoned. Yet she was in the movie. Whoops. Kind of interesting, though. But hey. Now, let's see here. Please tell me they actually have his lightsaber somewhere here. Because I would really like to see that lightsaber. Because then, yes, you have that button, but that button was actually not the activator, which they use all over and everything else in Disney lore. The activator was that slide part there, where in the actual canon from the movies and the books, that button on the back was actually a button that controlled the length of the blade. Trying to find whether or not it has it in here. It might not have it in here. I mean, I got Wookiee weapons, which had a lot of bowcasters. And let me tell you something. Those bowcasters, that's one thing that is one thing that I will give J.J. Abrams credit for. He did the bowcaster right. Because
you
that
mean when Han
bowcaster
shot it and he was like, "Whoa, that's got a lot of kick. I see why you like it." That scene?
I like this thing. Yeah. I mean, when a bowcaster shoots somebody, it either goes through or it blasts them back. The fact that Kylo Ren survived it is, well, questionable.
There's a lot of things that are questionable.
I mean, I will give. Yeah, there is a lot of things that are questionable, but there's one thing that he actually did right with Chewbacca. Well, aside from the completely ignoring Leia, but the Wookiee rage. That was good. It's like, okay, you got that down. That's pretty good. But then he walks by fucking Leia, and it's like, where the fuck you going? You know?
Right, like, they've been through a lot together. Like, he was probably the best man at y'all's wedding. Like, you know
right?
what I mean? Like, come on.
Oh, yes. The galaxy before Star or EU or before Filoni got a hold of it.
Wait, he changed up the galaxy too?
Well, yeah, they added Jakku and other shit.
Oh, I thought you mean they changed like where like Coruscant was or whatever, and I was like, oh.
Well, they also changed a couple of locations to other things as well. I want to try to get or find Anakin's.
Which is weird to me because Filoni and Favreau are both Star Wars fans. Like, I don't doubt that. So how can you be so off about?
Because they don't want to look into these things. They thought that the direct word of George Lucas was or is gospel, which it should be to a degree. I will admit, but there was also this stuff. Darth Maul and Darth Plagueis. Let me read this to you guys, and I'm going to read it straight from this thing. Following the example set by Darth Bane after the battle over his son, the Sith Lord Darth Sidious is served by a single apprentice, an almost unstoppable weapon named Darth Maul, a Force-sensitive Zabrak from the planet Iridonia. And Maul might have been discovered by the Jedi if Sidious had not claimed him first. Maul's upbringing consisted of constant training to become stronger, faster, and smarter than any adversary could anticipate. Zabraks are renowned for their mental discipline and have a natural ability to withstand physical suffering, and Sidious tested Maul's endurance to the very limits during his training. Unlike previous Sith apprentices, Maul has no ambition to overthrow his master. The Zabrak warrior's existence is known only to Sidious, who waits for the moment when the Sith can rise against the Jedi and finally have their revenge. Not to mention, folks, the body tattooing, that was not part of his natural skin. And the reason why I say this is
which is cool to know, because at first you're like, oh, well, that's just a different alien. That's just what that alien looks like. So to get that extra, like, oh no, he did that to himself. Like, that's cool. That's some lore shit that I like. You know what I mean? That deep lore stuff.
Yeah, indeed. And also, if you, I will get to this in a second, but there's a ton of Star Wars comic books, yes, that are worth reading. Yes, there are. But when it comes to Darth Maul, Sidious took him on a tour of the Jedi Temple when he was a kid during his training. Bring them into the lion's den of the enemy. And not a single Jedi sensed two Sith Lords walking through their temple on a tour. That's how powerful Sidious is at hiding it.
Right, and also it goes to show how much the Jedi had fallen from, like, the Old Republic time, being basically like political figureheads.
Yeah, I mean, get this. They could sense anytime somebody else is about to break into the frickin' temple, but two Sith Lords can straight up walk right in there, take a tour, and then walk out without being sensed because that's how powerful Sidious was.
Yeah.
He managed to walk Maul right through the damn temple. I believe this was from Maul Lockdown or Maul Shadowhunter. Either one of those books, where Maul
just straight up walks through the temple.
Yeah, he remembered this happening.
He goes into one of their classes or their, like, meditation things.
No, he was with Sidious the whole time.
But you know what I mean? Like, in an alternate universe, making it a comedy. Like, you know, like...
Yeah. But yeah, the black and white tattoo painting on Maul was done later, after he became he was officially dubbed Darth Maul. He was a Zabrak with no name. He was named, or his title was Darth Maul. Just like Anakin Skywalker's Darth Vader and Sidious, or Palpatine, not Sheev Palpatine, but Palpatine, is named Darth Sidious. Also, it's no coincidence that the words Insidious and Invader both had their INs taken out for the names of the Sith Lords that we all know today and love. Sidious and Vader.
I want to give a special shout out to George Lucas, because the prequel trilogy helped me sniff out bullshit in government as an adult. So, like, well, I'm sorry to get political, but when Dr. Fauci gets on and says, if you question me, you question science, it reminded me of when Sidious was like, I am the Senate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So shout out to George Lucas for putting like, I think the biggest hang-up
it was never meant to be allegorical of today's government. However, it was inspired by the fall of Rome, essentially.
Right, but it's you can use it as
But there was politics in the movie.
Sure. But it's, you know, that's people's biggest hang-up on the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Like, oh, just all political talk is boring and blah blah blah. Like, okay, I can see where there's an argument for that, but also, thank you for doing that, George Lucas. You know?
Now, this book that I'm looking at, folks, is the Incredible Cross-Sections Ultimate Guide to Star Wars Vehicle and Spacecraft, written by David West Reynolds, illustrated by Hans Jensen and Richard Chasemore, where you get to see all the nooks and crannies of the Millennium Falcon, the Death Star, and other vehicles, which this is how, or I brought this out for when I believe you and I did Kenobi, right?
We did do.
Yep.
Wait, yeah, we did do Kenobi.
We discussed Kenobi, the series.
Yes. Yeah. Because I remember having to watch it.
Yeah. It was like, I'm sorry to put you through this, but I need somebody else to talk with.
Hey, misery loves company, so I get it.
You saying that I'm a miserable person?
I was miserable about Kenobi, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think you were too.
Oh, we both were.
There's only so many times you can watch your favorite characters from 30, 40 years ago, and then watch Hollywood wipe their ass with it like toilet paper, and then hand it back to you and tell you to consume it and like it and tell you that it's good. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when they butcher the technology of Rebel craft, like the Snowspeeder. You see, let's look right there. You see that there's
I
only
like it's
two
like
people.
A seeing eyewitness science book, but it's Star Wars.
Yeah, you see how you can only fit two people in those craft?
Yeah.
And there's not much else for there's not much else in the way of putting anybody else in there. I mean, where are you going to hang those two on the fucking, or where are you going to hang Kenobi and Little Leia? Are you going to hang them on the hood? I mean, it just made no sense, folks. The whole show. And everybody's trying to say that Lucas liked the Kenobi show. It's like, then why did he say that they only fought twice? I'm not getting it.
My biggest hang up, well, one of my big, see, a lot of times when people do things poorly, it's the details that hang me up. You know what I mean? It's not like the big egregious things. It's like the little small stuff. When he meets and they want, and I can totally tell, see them in their little room. They're like, this is going to be an emotional scene. It's going to be a nod. We're going to get all the emotions. When Kenobi is in Coruscant and he runs into one of the clones and the clone doesn't immediately start attacking him. What?
Oh, that wasn't Coruscant. That was some other planet, and he was drunk.
Sorry.
And yes, he was drunk, but the problem is those clones do have what's known as photographic memory. That was bred into them. Mm-hmm. And the fact that if he would have seen Kenobi, even in a drunken haze, he would have tried to execute Order 66 if he had a weapon.
Good soldiers obey orders.
Good soldiers follow orders. But anyway, getting back to EU, let's not dwell too much on Disney.
So sorry.
No, it's not your fault. We both did it.
It's hard to not talk about Star Wars and then bring up like
the painful shit, yeah.
Right, because there's a reason why Star Wars is loved. There's a reason why, and there's a reason why we gatekeep. If that makes sense.
Oh yes, there is.
Because lore matters, canon matters. If you say something, it's A, and then you're like, no, just kidding, it's B. The fans are gonna go like, what? You know what I mean? So it's difficult to not get derailed because the comparison is easy to make.
But yeah, it's completely understandable. But what was your favorite or have you read a lot of the EU books?
I've read a few. My favorite, if that was going to be your next question, would be Darth Plagueis. Excuse me, because I was interested in reading. I was interested in learning more about it after watching episode 3. One of the times that I was watching it, one of the many times, and I was like, you know what? I want to hear this story. So I read the book and I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a really good Sidious book, if that makes sense. Or like you're like, oh, that's why Sidious is the way that it I don't know. That was my favorite, probably. I heard Aftermath was really good, but haven't read it.
Where is it? I have it down here. Yep.
But chat and those who on the rewatch, tag me on Twitter at Nerd with a Cigar with your recommendations for EU books.
This is a book I highly recommend you read if you haven't read it yet.
Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader. James. Oh, it's the same author.
Yep. This takes place directly after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so
it's part of the Dark Lord trilogy.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Let me add a close second or tied for number 1. The Thrawn trilogy.
Everybody goes to the Thrawn trilogy, and it is largely acknowledged by many EU fans as the OG sequel trilogy.
And that's what so after I had watched all of the Star Wars movies and like my friend and her older brother thoroughly got me into them like through my childhood and stuff because they were like, we're gonna get you obsessed with these, and I was like, okay. I was like, I already like them, but like at 11, 12 they're like, no, you need action figures, you need like you need to be obsessed with this needs to be your new obsession. So my friend's older brother was like, read the Thrawn books, and I borrowed them from him when I was a kid after watching, because I was like, I want like what happens after 6, like, and we were all like sitting around talking about like if we wrote a Star Wars movie, what would happen, like what would Luke and Leia and everybody be doing, so when I read the Thrawn trilogy, maybe it's because I read it so young and I've read it multiple times that it's really just kind of like it really stuck with me, and because there's like an emotional connection to it. I haven't read it recently, so I have to go back and reread it because my tastes in books have changed. So that's why I didn't immediately say the Thrawn trilogy, because it's been a while.
The Thrawn trilogy is very good because, one, we also see what a pregnant Leia can do with a lightsaber.
Right.
Well, and I'm not saying that in some dirty innuendo either.
No, but there is, because episode 6 leaves it open-ended, because you have the promise from Luke to Leia that he's going to teach her about the Force, and you're like, sweet, we're going to get the Wonder Twins in the Force, let's go. Like, and exactly, like, you get pregnant Leia with a lightsaber.
Folks, when it comes to the EU and Leia's Force sensitivity, there's a reason why Leia could not be read by Vader or the Mind Probe. And there's a reason why when Bail Organa, when she was 15 or 13 or 14 or 15, and they walked right up to her and didn't feel nothing from her, it only just saw her as a regular person, he breathed out a very huge sigh of relief, because there's a part in this book where Vader goes to Alderaan. Leia's still a baby. And
she's cloaked.
She's not cloaked, no. But Bail is extremely worried about what would happen, because Vader's like, I would like to meet the queen and your child. And it's like, fuck? Because Bail knows that Vader is Anakin Skywalker, because in the book, he thought that that Vader died. He knows that that Anakin Skywalker went by the name Darth Vader. But once he heard a stormtrooper refer to this black-clad individual as Lord Vader, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. No.
Because Bail knows how powerful Anakin was.
Yeah.
During the Clone Wars.
Yep.
And because I mean, and even the whole, like, the original Princess Leia message to Ben / Obi-Wan Kenobi, years ago you served with my father in the Clone Wars, and everybody was like, what the fuck is that? Like, dropping a seed
fought in the Clone Wars? Yeah, I was a Jedi, just the same as your father. He was the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy. You're learning all this shit about Anakin Skywalker, and it's like, I want to meet him.
Right, exactly, because he was a hero, and that's what the beloved about the prequel trilogy is. He's a hero, and you see this beautiful, kind of boomerang style movie telling where you see the villain become a hero, and then turn around and you see the hero become a villain. It is actually beautiful poetry. If only he were better at writing dialogue.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, one, two, here it is. This, folks, confirmed, as well as the novel of episode 3. I actually have I have 2 copies of episode 3, the novel by itself, as well as the volume or the prequels all in one volume. I am also about to have a 3rd copy sent here with a 2nd copy of Dark Lord, as well as Labyrinth of Evil, all in one volume, the Dark Lord trilogy. I have that coming on this Friday, I do believe, or Wednesday. But yeah, I can't wait for that to arrive. But when I got this shortly after I got saw episode 3, I wanted to consume as much as I could. I didn't get the novel yet because the novel hadn't come out yet. But I got this, and let me get to whatchamacallit. Well, actually, let's go to the table of contents. That way I can see what the hell is what here. Darth City is 60. Okay. 52. 46. 52. There we are. The Sith have waited a millennium for the birth of one who is powerful enough to return them from hiding. Darth Sidious is that one. The Sith's revenge on the Jedi Order for having nearly eradicated the practitioners of the dark side of the Force. They actually have Darth Bane to thank for that. But yeah.
Thanks, Bane.
Well, he convinced the army of darkness to kill themselves with the thought bomb.
Is there a book about Planet Sith? I've heard rumors.
There's not a Sith or the Sith planet. There are several Sith planets. There's the Masasi, which is the Masasi Temple from Yavin. The Sith species had the Masasi, which were primitive they would later evolve into the pure-blooded Sith. The pure-blooded Sith also lived on several other planets like Nathema before it became Nathema and before it became a desolated wasteland. Droman Kos, as well as Korriban, and other planets as well. But yes, trained by Darth Plagueis, Sidious in his guise as Palpatine, understood that the corrupt Republic and the subservient Jedi Order could be brought down by playing to the weaknesses of the former, its mindless bureaucracy and attachment to power. So yes, this book confirmed that he was trained by Plagueis. So when I saw the movie and he went by did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And I'm thinking to myself, So in the book of episode 3, have you read the novel for episode 3?
No, I've only read the novels for episode 1 and 2.
Okay. Here's what
because
you need to
I
do.
wanted to like Anakin more than in the Phantom Menace, so I like Anakin better reading him, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I get it. But definitely in the future, when you are able, read read the books or read the Dark Lord trilogy. Labyrinth of Evil, episode 3.
Okay.
Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, in that order. Trust me, you will love it.
Okay.
Because you will learn a lot about Anakin, and
okay,
you'll also learn.
What's the order again? I'm writing it down. Number 1.
Labyrinth of Evil. Episode 3. And then Rise of Darth Vader. Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader.
Okay.
Because you realize that in the movie you see him pull his lightsaber on Palpatine. In the book, that whole scene happens much differently. The battle in the Senate or the battle in the Chancellor's office, much more differently.
Okay, so he's not trying to convince him, because in the movie, this is my interpretation, right? So Sidious's whole goal was to turn Anakin into Darth Vader because he needed the right Sith apprentice for the job that he wanted to do in order to rule a galaxy. So he needed the most powerful guy, but he needed him in a vulnerable enough state where he could control him for a while. But the end goal is always for the apprentice to surpass the master. So he needed someone he could control, but was powerful enough to want to kill him. So the whole like scene where he's like, "You want to kill me, don't you?" And
I
he's like,
certainly
"I certainly would like to." And he pulls his saber on him. To me, that was him using the Force, the dark side of the Force, to pull Anakin into that desire to want to kill him and planting that seed so that later on he would eventually kill him and become the master and then continue the legacy.
Oh, well.
Is that a wrong interpretation, or
it is because Anakin, his emotions were already so raw. He didn't need the Force, or if you tried to use the Force on him, it wouldn't have worked. Anakin is that powerful that you can't really use the Force.
And what I mean is like, using the Force is Sidious used the Force in a very specific type of way that almost seemed like not using the Force. Does that make sense?
He did that naturally or simply by
being a politician.
No, by being himself, because when Plagueis first sensed him,
yeah, true.
He didn't sense shit from him.
Yeah,
he couldn't read him at all.
Right.
Palpatine had a natural ability to stay hidden in the Force,
like a natural cloak or whatever.
Essentially, yeah. But also, Sidious learned what I dub shadowcasting, meaning he can use the Force to interpret anything within darkness. He can interpret, or if a shadow is casted over something, he can interpret, or he can see it, essentially.
Okay, so here's a question that I don't know. I love to bring up because I like to pick at the scab, and I don't know why. The whole idea that the real Sith all along should have been Jar Jar Binks.
The Darth Jar Jar story.
Jar Jar. Have you? Because there's valid.
I wish they had gone that way.
Same. Same. Because you're like, this goofy dude is the Sith Lord? Like, what?
The way that I wish it, though, was that Jar Jar Binks was Darth Plagueis after Darth Plagueis was killed.
Okay, wait. Jar Jar was Darth Plagueis
after Darth Plagueis was killed, meaning he had effectively used essence transfer to go into Jar Jar.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't him.
Oh, it was because Jar Jar would have different. It was him, but in a different body.
In a different body,
much like Palpatine did in the Dark
body
Empire.
Swapped. Right. Okay. Because I just think that would have been a really cool storyline where it's like, okay, in the first episode, we're going to make this goofy ass character and I just think that would have been really fun. It's like, oh, everybody hates this guy. He's super goofy, super annoying. He gets in the Jedi's way. He just blah, 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 blah. And that's like, okay, what if that were a Sith trick?
It was possibly could have been. Who knows? But Neozog's really itching for us to answer this. The Sithari, which is essentially the chosen one of the Sith, who fits it better, Bane or Sidious? Both fit certain aspects of it, but I do believe that the one who did it best was Vitiate. Because he wiped out 8,000 Sith Lords in order to gain his immortality. And then he absorbed not just the Force or the Force energy of those dead Sith, but also the Force energy of the planet he was on, and drew in all that life into himself, creating an immortal body.
Wait, is that what they were trying to do in Disney Star Wars, where she's like, and I'm all the Jedi?
No, and yes, so to speak.
Were they like chipping? They're like, that's a fun idea. Let's kind of use that. Maybe.
I have no idea what they were trying to do because honestly, fucking J.J. Abrams has no fucking clue.
I think Sidious couldn't be it because if the Chosen One, like, so the Force itself is like the life force of the universe, is there's balance, right?
Well, let me pull up the there is a Sith prophecy of the Sithari. Let me pull that up.
Because I don't know, it would just seem weird in the Force for there to be the one for the Chosen One for the Jedi and then the Chosen One for the Sith at the exact same time. Well, actually, that now that I think about it, that might actually be a thing. Neozoic. Now you've planted a little seed in my brain. Neozoic,
Right,
coming in with the good questions every single time.
All right. The Sidious or Sithari was a title that in the ancient Sith meant Lord or Overlord, first claimed by King Adas. After Adas's death, the term became subject of legend prophesying the coming of a being that would lead to destroy the Sith, but in so doing would make the Sith more powerful than ever before. In this context, the term came to mean perfect being or God. The prophecy, which was in many ways similar to the Jedi prophecy of the Chosen One, retained its significance in the Dark Lord up until the time of the Order of the Sith. Now, let's see here. The Sith or the Sithari will be free from limits. The Sithari will lead the Sith and destroy them. The Sithari will raise the Sith from death and make them stronger than before.
Oh, so it can't be Sidious then.
No.
So
my vote is it can't
Bane.
be, or Bane fits, sort of.
It half, 3/4 fits.
He did, or he led, or he didn't lead them, so to speak. He did manipulate them. But he also did raise the Sith from death and make them stronger in the sense of the rule of two. So he's got 3 or 4 there, or he's got 2 out of 3 there. Jason Solo thought he was the Sithari, but he took all those interpretations.
Oh.
You brought yourself. Holy shit!
It was just a burp. It was a hiccup.
Okay, so you burped and kicked yourself out of the thing.
Wait, was I kicked out?
Yeah, you literally kicked yourself out.
No way. I thought you got kicked out.
No, you were the great white nipple right now on the screen.
No way. I still see me and Gina.
I see the great white nipple.
That's crazy because like everything's flying smooth on this side. Well,
yep. Now, Darth Plagueis.
You're welcome, everyone, for the nipple.
Don't tempt me, woman. But yeah, a better person to fit that would be Vitiate because he slaughtered almost all of the Sith.
Did it make it stronger?
He made himself stronger. Vitiate and Plagueis, while I love them as Sith Lords and whatnot, to be completely honest, the Force hated both of them. No, literally, the Force stopped speaking to Plagueis after he started, or after he mastered reviving somebody from death.
Yeah, because he was like, let me use this to be the most powerful, which is very Sith. Okay, of course.
Definitely. Well, he was also increasing his own midichlorian count. I mean, he was mastering it. He was actually doing it.
Yeah, he was doing, because even in the first scenes, or like the first chapters of the book where he's like trying to heal himself, you're like, oh, and then at the end of the book where he's like actually like moving the stuff in his body, you're like, oh shit, okay.
And he also revived another Sith, Darth Venomous, which was a hidden apprentice of Darth Tenebrous, in case Plagueis turned out not to be a good Sith, or turned out not to be worthy. But Venomous, he allowed him to be put into a catatonic state and then finally allowed him to die and then used the Force to bring him back to life. And that is when the Force basically is like, I am done with you. Nope, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
They also did the ritual to wrench the Force out of balance, which the Force also retaliated in the creation of Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Darth Plagueis, he is one of my favorite Sith. However, none of them fit the Sithari.
True.
However, there is one in the EU that does fit the Sithari. That would be Darth Krayt. I don't know much about him. All I know is that he is Ashrad Het from the original or from the Old Republic Jedi Order.
Are there more books in the Old Republic or in like after Episode 6?
I recommend you also read the Karen Traviss novels of the Republic Commando series.
Okay.
As well, or there's 4 of them. There's the first 3 of the Republic Commando trilogy, but then there's also Order 66, where it all goes down.
Hell yeah.
And then there's also Imperial Commando.
Like, I like that tragic, sad stuff. Like I love that, kind of.
Oh, believe me,
your own,
I do too.
You're your own demise kind of stuff. That's why I liked the whole. I think yes, there are really amazing Sith, but my favorite is still Anakin, and it's probably because of the Star Wars movies, just being honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you think that the movie lightsaber fights are great, wait until you read Episode 3 novel. You will see, or you will read a
totally different.
You will look at them totally different. Yeah.
But in a newfound appreciation, I would assume.
Oh, definitely.
But what I love about it is just like, because the good guys were becoming the bad guys, so the good guy had to become the bad guy to kill all the good guys to make the good guys good again. You know what I mean? So like, you love the Sith, you love Yoda, you love Mace Windu and Plo Koon and all these guys, but then you realize like, oh, they were so I don't know, blinded, if that's the right word,
The Jedi were in their
misguided.
heyday in Episode 1. However, they were also, that's why Qui-Gon Jinn didn't really follow them so much. He served the will of the Force. He felt that the Jedi Council didn't.
Right, which you get the sense of, especially when Anakin's like, oh, the Jedi are here, like they're gonna free all the slaves, and Qui-Gon's like, that's not why we're here, and you can sense that he's not happy about that. Like,
he's like, I think you have. Why else would you be here? And so he may not have came there to free slaves, but he ended up freeing a slave.
Right, he did free a slave, yes. And I don't think the Anakin would have turned into Darth Vader if he had been trained with
if Qui-Gon hadn't died, Anakin would never have fallen.
Correct. Because he needed that father figure, which Sidious came in and met that need for him. But not to be a total bummer, but I actually have to go.
That's all right.
I was like, well, I've spent an hour talking about Star Wars, and I much appreciate all the book recommendations, and I will definitely be letting you know my thoughts on them. And to the chat, thanks for sticking around through our mishaps, but also send me some EU recommendations for either
at Nerd
comics,
with a Cigar.
At Nerd with a Cigar, either comics or books, and it's been fun hanging out with y'all.
Yep.
Later.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Yep. But yeah, there's also I mean, if anybody wants to come in and join the discussion, I will send the link in the chat. But other than that, if nobody wants to, I will be heading out because I also got to take care of some stuff too. But overall, Star Wars is always going to be a passion of mine. I have done fan fictions where I've actually kept myself out of the totally out of the main events that were already established. I've read the Revenge of the Sith novel like twice so far. I'm amazed at how divergent Stover was allowed to go. Oh, he did a lot of different things. However, they still managed to still reach the same result. The seduction of the seduction of Anakin Skywalker, Palpatine's confessions to him. Quick question. What is your honest opinions on those? Oh, shit. That's right. I'm sorry. I didn't answer this. The crossguard lightsaber makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. The whole design is flawed. They made it look cool by putting an unstable crystal in the lightsaber, but it just doesn't make sense, in my honest opinion. But yes, when it comes to like Palpatine finally confessing to Anakin about him being the Sith Lord, and Anakin straight up nearly killing him with his lightsaber. I mean, he literally had the lightsaber like right here, like this close to his chin. He's like, I should kill you. I will kill you. He's like, why? You're a Sith Lord. I am. I'm also your friend. I mean, I really love that book. Episode 3 is so freaking great. But also Labyrinth of Evil and Rise of Darth Vader, also great books as well. So yeah, when that book arrives, I'm definitely reading the hell out of it. But anyway, folks, I am going to get going because I actually am starting to get tired a little bit. I'm going to grab a coffee, and then it doesn't wake me up. It only just keeps me up for like 25 more minutes. I've also written fan fictions for episodes 10 through 12 out of boredom. Nice. Excuse me. Revenge of the Sith novelization is amazing. Yes, it is. Especially the fight between Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. As well as the fight between Anakin and Grievous and Obi-Wan. Also, folks, if you read the book, episode 3, you realize that Anakin and Obi-Wan had only met Grievous for the very, very first time on that ship. Grievous never met Obi-Wan before that. So, yeah, Filoni got the Clone Wars wrong. Anyway, folks, y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Travis Mitchell, Neozoic, Vanya, Conroy, Sean Cantrell, with the Scar, thank her for being in. Pierce, thank you for coming in. Tony Montana, thank you for coming in. Y'all are freaking awesome, folks. And stay tuned for Tuesday. I will be giving all of my honest thoughts on the different aspects of Star Wars from the Disney interpretations. So thank you so much, folks. And y'all have a wonderful day. And always remember to stay humble.